subscribe to this channel right now and ring that notification bell before we say another word. Because the Blue Jays universe is operating in approximately 8 different directions simultaneously, and all of them are generating content that you absolutely cannot miss. We have the World Baseball Classic spinning up in Tokyo and Houston with Blue Jays players scattered across 9 national rosters, already producing highlights and headlines and moments so bizarre that even the most devoted fans are struggling to keep track of all of it. We have Eloy Jimenez continuing to destroy baseballs in Dunedin at a pace that is making every roster decision around the outfield exponentially more complicated. We have Ernie Clement playing left field for Team USA because Mark DeRosa wanted his bat in the lineup at all costs and simply did not have anywhere conventional to put it, which is either hilarious or concerning depending on how you feel about the concept of positional flexibility. We have the Blue Jays spring breakout roster dropping, and it is absolutely stacked in ways that should have every prospect watcher in the country paying close attention. And we have the broader spring training picture, which, while carrying a 2-8 exhibition record that is making some fans understandably nervous, is also producing some of the most encouraging individual development stories this organization has generated in several years. Let us go through every single layer of this today, because there is a lot to unpack and none of it is getting the full attention it deserves. Let us start in Tokyo, because the World Baseball Classic is officially underway and the storylines involving Blue Jays players are already delivering at a rate that no amount of pre-tournament projection could have fully anticipated. Team Japan has been the dominant story of the opening days of the tournament, and right in the middle of the most memorable moment of the entire first week of competition was none other than Kazuma Okamoto, the Blue Jays' freshly signed third baseman who received a 4-year, $60 million commitment from Toronto after posting 7 consecutive 25-plus home run seasons in Nippon professional baseball. Team Japan was facing the Chinese Taipei national team in Pool B play in Tokyo when Japanese pitching, anchored by Yoshinobu Yamamoto in the opening innings, held Chinese Taipei hitless deep into the game. And then the no-hitter was broken up. And the player who broke it was Okamoto, who dropped a bloop single into center field with what every Japanese broadcaster in the Tokyo Dome immediately recognized as the kind of bat control that only the most disciplined hitters in professional baseball can manufacture consistently. It was not an accident. Okamoto has a career plate discipline profile that places him among the best contact hitters in Japanese professional history, and a bloop single off Yamamoto in an international tournament, executed with precision and timing against one of the best young pitchers on earth, is exactly the kind of at-bat that tells you everything about the quality of a hitter's approach. Blue Jays fans, your new third baseman just broke up a no-hitter in the Tokyo Dome. You can start getting excited. The broader Team Japan situation is worth monitoring closely as the tournament progresses because Okamoto is going to see elite international pitching across every round of competition in which Japan participates, and the specific adjustments he is forced to make against fastball velocity and breaking ball shape that differs from what he faced in NPB will be enormously instructive for the Blue Jays coaching staff watching from Dunedin. John Schneider confirmed earlier this month that he expects Okamoto to have some adjustment period when he arrives in North American professional baseball. The WBC, played on an accelerated international stage against the best pitching from countries across the globe, is the most condensed and useful evaluation environment imaginable for understanding exactly how far along that adjustment already is. Shohei Ohtani subsequently hit a grand slam to extend Japan's lead in the same game, because Shohei Ohtani hits grand slams the way other people eat breakfast, but the Okamoto bloop was the highlight that the Blue Jays organization was watching most closely. Keep an eye on Team Japan's bracket path, because every plate appearance Okamoto collects in Tokyo is data that will shape how the coaches handle his arrival in the Rogers Center lineup on opening day. Meanwhile, in Houston, the Team Mexico storyline delivered a moment of pure joy for Blue Jays fans watching the WBC feed on Baseball Network. Alejandro Kirk, who is representing Mexico alongside Randy Arozarena, Jaron Duran, Andres Munoz, and the rest of one of the most offensively stacked rosters in the entire tournament, scored a run in a way that only Alejandro Kirk can score a run. There is no elegant way to describe it. The video exists. Kirk is not the fastest runner in professional baseball. Kirk is arguably the slowest runner in professional baseball, And he has been since his debut. None of that has ever stopped him from being one of the most effective offensive players in the American League, because his ability to control the strike zone, make contact on pitches that other catchers would not even attempt to swing at, and drive baseballs to all fields with genuine power has made him a two-time American League All-Star and a Silver Slugger Award winner. But watching Alejandro Kirk sprint toward home plate is an event, and when he did it alongside former Blue Jays teammate Romy Gonzalez, the internet immediately lost its mind in the most wholesome way possible. The Blue Jays' preseason entertainment value has been exceptional. Ernie Clement is the WBC story that deserves the most explanation, because what happened during Team USA's exhibition warm-up game against the Colorado Rockies was genuinely unexpected even by the standards of a tournament that regularly produces unexpected things. Team USA manager Mark DeRosa, one of the most thoughtful and analytically grounded managers in the game, looked at his roster and made a decision that had never previously been part of any conversation about Ernie Clement's professional career. He put Clement in left field, starting against a major league roster in a competitive pre-tournament warm-up game. Ernie Clement is an infielder. He has been an infielder his entire professional career. He has played second base, shortstop, and third base throughout his time in professional baseball, accumulating 10 defensive runs saved, 5 outs above average, and a +4 fielding run value over 423 innings at second base for the Blue Jays last season alone. He has never, not once in his professional career, been asked to play left field in a competitive game setting. DeRosa's reasoning was entirely straightforward. He wanted Clement's bat in the lineup. He did not have a natural place for it in his established infield configuration, and left field was the position that created the least disruption to the rest of the roster setup. So DeRosa penciled Clement into the left field spot and watched what happened. What happened, in the tradition of Ernie Clement doing Ernie Clement things, was that he showed up, made the plays, and did not make it weird. Because that is who Ernie Clement is. He is the most reliable professional in any organization he has ever been part of, and if Mark DeRosa tells him to play left field, Ernie Clement plays left field with exactly the same composure and preparation that he brings to every other position assignment of his career. Now let us pivot to the spring training picture in Dunedin, because while the WBC is generating its own compelling storylines from Tokyo and Houston and across Central America, the business of building the 2026 Blue Jays roster is continuing at TD Ballpark with a combination of encouraging performances, genuine concerns, and at least one development story that is threatening to redefine the roster picture in ways the organization may not have fully anticipated when February began. Eloy Jimenez is hitting a baseball like a man possessed. As Blue Jays Nation confirmed this week, Jimenez has been arriving in Dunedin in what John Schneider described as tremendous physical shape, the healthiest he has appeared in many years, with mechanics that Schneider specifically compared to his early Chicago White Sox days when he was a 30-home run hitter and one of the most feared young power bats in the American League. The results in Grapefruit League competition have been staggering. Across his first 8 at-bats, Jimenez was slashing .625 with a 1.875 OPS, including an exit velocity of 111.1 miles per hour on a double and 109 miles per hour on another extra base hit. Through 12 at-bats, his batting average sits at .417 with 11 balls put in play at or above 100 miles per hour. He nearly retired before this season. He signed a minor league contract because no team was willing to bet guaranteed major league money on a player whose injury history has been as devastating and as relentless as Jimenez's has been since his ACL rupture interrupted what should have been a career-defining 2020 breakout. And he is sitting in Dunedin right now hitting .417 with a 1.875 OPS and making every roster decision around the Blue Jays outfield significantly more complicated than it was on February 1st. The specific complication is worth spelling out clearly because it connects to the roster construction questions that the organization is going to have to answer definitively before March 26th. Yardbarker's Keegan Matheson made the essential point in his most recent spring training piece. If Jimenez earns a spot on the active roster, someone has to lose one. The math is unforgiving. Kirk and Heineman hold the 2 catcher spots. Clement, Okamoto, Jimenez, and Guerrero hold the 4 infield spots. Springer, Varsho, Sanchez, and Barger project as the four primary outfielders. Miles Straw holds a reserve spot by virtue of his defensive value and speed. That is 13 position players accounted for before you place Jimenez anywhere on the roster. Davis Schneider and Nathan Lukes are fighting for the remaining spots. If Jimenez continues to hit the way he has been hitting, and if the organization decides that the combination of his power potential and the specific matchup profile he brings against right-handed pitching is worth the investment, then Schneider, Lukes, or someone else with roster standing needs to give way. That is the conversation Schneider, Atkins, and the coaching staff are going to be having in increasing detail over the next 3 weeks. And then there is Addison Barger, who has been the most complicated individual spring training story in the organization because of the gap between his individual high points and his broader production line. The grand slam against the Boston Red Sox, a ball hit at 101.7 miles per hour that traveled 399 feet in the 5th inning of a game the Blue Jays lost 8-7, was the most electric individual moment any Blue Jays hitter has produced in the Grapefruit League this spring. But Sports Illustrated's Four Worrisome Springs feature published this week specifically named Barger as one of the players whose overall spring trajectory is generating concern, noting that even after the Grand Slam he was hitting just .133 across 15 at-bats with 5 strikeouts. The Grand Slam did not come in a vacuum, but it also did not eliminate the broader pattern that SI is identifying, which is a high strikeout, low-contact profile that the organization needs to see improve if Barger is going to deliver on the expectations attached to his position in the lineup as the presumptive starting right fielder and a middle-of-the-order bat. His 2025 regular season WRC+ against lefties was 69, which is meaningfully below league average and represents the specific area of his game that the coaching staff needs to develop for him to be everything this lineup needs him to be. The spring is still early. The Grand Slam still happened. But the concerns are real and the organization knows it. Josh Kasvik continues to make it impossible for the people running this organization to ignore him. Across multiple appearances this spring, Kasvik has been hitting at a consistent clip with 0 strikeouts and an approach that MLB.com's Keegan Matheson described in a piece this week as suggesting he could emerge as a better option for the reserve infield role early in 2026 than the players currently ahead of him on the depth chart. He is ranked 13th in the organization's prospect system. He attended Major League Camp as a non-roster invitee. And he is hitting like a player who has already been in the big leagues and is simply returning to a level he has already mastered. The Blue Jays Nation coverage said it plainly, get used to hearing his name. And then there is the spring breakout event, which is scheduled for March 21st against the Phillies and which serves as the annual showcase for the organization's most exciting young talent in a special exhibition format that gives prospects real competitive exposure against their counterparts from other systems. The Blue Jays' spring breakout roster features Trey Yesavage listed at the top, which is both a formality given his World Series credentials and a tantalizing preview of what may be his first official mound appearance of the spring. JoJo Parker, the second-ranked prospect in the organization and the 45th-ranked prospect in all of baseball, is on the roster. Arjun Nimmala, who has been taking ground balls at third base alongside Vladimir Guerrero Jr. in informal fielding sessions, is on the roster. Juan Sanchez, the outfield prospect with perhaps the highest ceiling in the entire system, is on the roster. Johnny King, Gage Stanifer, Landon Motus, Brandon Valenzuela, Sean Keyes, Charles McAdoo, who went 2 for 2 with a double in the Braves game on Friday, and R.J. Schreck, who stole home in the Phillies' victory in Dunedin last week, round out a roster that represents the deepest and most exciting prospect pool this organization has assembled in nearly a decade. The World Baseball Classic runs through March 17th. The Blue Jays' home opener is March 26th, spring breakout is March 21st. And somewhere between Tokyo, Houston, and Dunedin, the greatest collection of Blue Jays baseball that has existed since the championship years of 1992 and 1993 is taking shape in real time, with Okamoto breaking up no-hitters, Jimenez hammering baseballs at exit velocities that make professional pitchers uncomfortable, Clement playing left field for Team USA on the other side of the tournament, and Josh Kasvik hitting the baseball at a rate that is making the people responsible for this rosters seriously reconsider which conversations they thought were settled weeks ago. Drop everything in the comments right this second and tell us what you think. Are you worried about Addison Barger's spring production outside of the Grand Slam, or do you believe the power and the mechanics will show up once the regular season begins and the pitching quality normalizes? Does Eloy Jimenez's extraordinary spring performance change the roster math enough to make Davis Schneider genuinely expendable, or do you keep both and find a way to make it work? And is the Kazuma Okamoto bloop single in the Tokyo Dome against Yoshinobu Yamamoto the most interesting single piece of Blue Jays-related information to emerge from the entire World Baseball Classic so far? Tell us all of it. Smash that like button if you believe opening day on March 26th cannot get here fast enough. Subscribe to this channel right now because we are covering every WBC highlight, every spring training result, and every roster decision this organization makes between now and the first pitch of the regular season every single day. Share this with every Blue Jays fan you know. The championship machine is running. Let us go Blue Jays.